good, YouTube? Welcome back to JY's Adventures. Thank y'all so much for supporting with my switch in channels. As you guys know, this is now my JY's Adventures channel, where I used to react to music on here. In this video, we're going to be checking out how to beat every monster in Tokyo Ghoul by Cinema Summary. You guys really love my Cinema Summary reactions, so you know I got to keep them coming for y'all. I appreciate everyone that you know, stuck around doing the switch. I see some people commenting, yo, I'm so happy you're still checking these videos out, and I'm happy to make them for y'all, man. It's all about entertaining, just chilling, having fun. That's all I try to do with YouTube and all of my content, you know what I'm saying, all of my videos I put out. We already checked out Binge Express's version of this, so we're gonna see what Cinema Summary got for us in this one. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment multiple times to help the algorithm out, help the boy. And the link to the original video is down in the description. Without any further ado, let's go.
You've just been turned into a ghoul, a cannibalistic monster that must eat human flesh to live. You have to survive against other bloodthirsty monsters who kill for fun, hunters who want to exterminate you, and stop yourself from eating everyone you know and love.
I've seen the clips.
When dinner becomes a life or death decision, what do you do? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat Tokyo Ghoul.
I've seen the clips from Cinema Summary's video, and it's still as creepy seeing it live action, bruh. Seeing Tokyo Ghoul live action is still as creepy. Jeez, man.
Kaneki here is hanging out with his best friend who's watching a news report about the human-eating ghouls in the area. Nobody knows what these ghouls look like, and anybody here could be one in disguise. It's pretty scary, and his friend teases that even he might be a ghoul, but Kaneki doesn't care and just wants to eat his food. Daring him to get a life, his friend takes his book and throws it on the ground. But that's when this woman finds it and picks it up for him. She starts to flirt with him, showing that she's reading the same book.
She a baddie though.
Can't believe his luck and decides to ask her out on a date. Okay, we have no way of knowing who's a flesh-eating ghoul and who isn't until they're taking a huge bite out of your face.
But this is the thing. She a baddie though. I said it before. A baddie pulls up on me, and I was trying to, you know, get a date with her. She says yes. I don't care if I'm getting eaten by ghouls, bruh.
No way of knowing who's a flesh-eating ghoul and who isn't until they're taking a huge bite out of your face. If every new person you meet could be a threat, then living a normal life in this city will be impossible unless we have a way to test if they're a ghoul or not. The simplest thing to do is prick your finger and expose the scent of your blood before meeting someone for the first time. Ghouls eat humans, so if they smell your blood, it will likely affect their behavior,
like sharks,
and you might be able to pick up the clues. The better solution, though, is to deal with this digitally. If there were friends you knew weren't ghouls, you vouch for them on social media, and enough people know that person to not be a ghoul, their rating is very high. That way, when you meet a new person, you would have more confidence in knowing if they are more likely to be a ghoul or less likely based on how many people have vouched for them.
From them on social media, okay.
Based on this app, but deciding not to hang out with that person socially would be a good call. He goes out with Rize here, and she's very sweet, but there are subtle hints that she's a little bit different. He notices that she hasn't taken a bite out of her food and asks her why she isn't eating. She says she's been overdoing it lately, and Kaneki here shrugs it off. But outside, this girl's watching them suspiciously. She definitely knows something that this guy doesn't.
That's the red flag.
Okay, when we know there are ghouls around that only eat humans, this girl's sudden loss of appetite is a serious red flag. Now, Japan has one of the highest rates of eating disorders in the world, so bulimia and anorexia are on the rise. But this was a pre-planned date, which means she had plenty of time in advance to manage her appetite. If we just bought this girl a sandwich that she won't touch, I'm thinking that either she has an eating disorder or she's a ghoul. Either way, I'm not taking that risk and would end the relationship. But I'm also terrible at breakups, so I'd probably tell her I'll call and avoid this coffee shop for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh.
Later that night, they walk back from their date, and the girl stops them to go in for a romantic hug. He's pretty excited until she takes a massive bite out of his shoulder. And Kaneki here thinks that the relationship is moving a little too fast. He breaks out of her grip and falls to the ground, horrified.
What's wrong with getting a little kinky, y'all? You can take a bite out of me.
Is moving a little too fast. He breaks out of her grip and falls to the ground, horrified to see that this woman's eyes are glowing red. She's a ghoul, and he's going to be her dinner for the night. He gets cornered against a wall where he sees her true form appear.
He's so scared.
Tentacles stretch out from her back, and he has nowhere to run. Okay, this could have been avoided. First of all, in a city with ghouls roaming around eating humans, taking your date to an empty part of town in the middle of the night with no one around is just plain stupid. We're completely overpowered here, and there's definitely no chance of escape. But there's one observation that could save our lives. This girl put a lot of time and effort into luring us out here, which means hunting humans is not as easy or convenient as we might think. And if it wasn't for this guy's poor judgment, it wasn't even guaranteed to work. I would offer to help lure more humans to feast on in exchange for my life. If this girl's already planning on
bargaining chip,
she might see the upside to this bargain and sacrifice 1 meal now for 10 meals in the future. I'd also get to pick all the people I hated most, and she would get rid of them for me.
Get rid of all the bullies?
He tries to run away, but she stabs him with her tentacle, brings him back into her reach, and starts to lick the blood from his face. He begins to cry, realizing his life is over, but as he looks up, he notices these metal beams swing overhead, and they suddenly crush the monster.
Steel just lands on her.
Really lucky here, but he has no idea that this girl would change his life forever. He wakes up in a hospital room and has perfectly recovered from the terrifying incident. But the doctor tells him that the only reason he survived was because he transplanted the dead ghoul's organs into his body. Later, he sees the doctor on TV discussing his treatment, but doesn't mention the organ donor was a ghoul and is keeping it a secret from the public. Okay, I would be really grateful to this doctor here for saving my life, but also, this is some sketchy.
If you read the manga, you know about this doctor, y'all.
Okay, I would be really grateful to this doctor here for saving my life, but also, this is some sketchy business. Not mentioning he took the organs from a ghoul is just unprofessional. I would honestly threaten to report this doctor to the medical board of the hospital unless
snitch on him.
See me on call if any weird happens to me. As
Get a lawyer.
With tentacles like this, ghouls are a completely different species. Their organs are built to digest only human flesh, so they're going to require the same diet to stay healthy. It's not a given that we'll have to eat human flesh as well, but I expect there'll be some pretty f***ed up adjustments my body will have to make, and I want to keep this doctor around if it all goes to hell. Meanwhile, 2 agents are investigating the corpse of this ghoul here and find a special ring on his finger. These men are a part of a government-funded task force designed to track down and kill every ghoul they can find. They discover that the ring was commissioned with a second ring, which means he has a ghoul wife. But there's only one clue that will help find her, and that's this fiber left on the dead man's shirt. Later that day, Kaneki is released from the hospital and joins his friend for lunch, but finds himself having a hard time eating. It's so revolting that he throws it up. He goes home and finds that he can't eat fruits or vegetables either.
Anything,
all normal food makes him want to puke, and he can't figure out why. But when he looks in the mirror, it finally hits him. One of his eyes is bloodshot red, and somehow the transplant has
the one-eyed king. I like all the details Cinema Summary is going into with the movie, guys. I just had to point that out as well.
In the mirror, it finally hits him. One of his eyes is bloodshot red, and somehow the transplant has turned him into a ghoul. Okay, this is life or death. He can't eat normal food, and he's going to die of starvation in 20 to 40 days unless he figures out how to kill and eat humans without getting caught. But there is some good news. Whatever nutrition ghouls get from human flesh, it's still broken down into the same components of proteins and amino acids that feed your body. If I can't eat regular food, then I would try to first solve this problem with vitamins and a drip. This would make sure I was getting enough nutrients to stay alive without causing a gag reflex. The vitamins are swallowed whole and dissolved, and if everything else is taken intravenously, then I can get enough nutrients to delay the need to start killing and eating all of these
that's some...
It's also important to maintain a normal life to avoid suspicion.
That's some insane thinking right there.
So that I can move throughout the city without being discovered.
That's so smart.
He takes a walk, but his hunger starts taking over as he's tempted to eat the people walking by. But that's when he smells something delicious and follows the scent. Walking down an alley, he finds another ghoul feeding on his latest victim. The monster offers him an arm to eat when someone kicks the guy's head clean off his neck. This other ghoul threatens him, warning not to feed in his territory when this girl appears, the same one who was watching Kaneki's date earlier. She tells him this territory is protected by the Antiku and kicks the daylights out of him before he gets up and jumps the wall to run away. She offers the disembodied arm to Kaneki here, but scared out of his mind, he
don't want to eat it
and runs back home. Okay, this is a pretty horrifying situation, but he's freaking out at the wrong thing here. These ghouls are passing around a human arm out in the open, and they're being way too casual about all of this. If I were them, I would always take my food to go, so I'm at the murder scene for as short as possible. Because the longer I'm there, the more evidence I'm likely to leave behind,
pull up,
and we run the risk of getting caught. I would also bring coolers and ice packs to make sure the food stays fresh, then take it back home.
Does it matter if it's fresh or not for the ghouls?
I would also bring coolers and ice packs to make sure the food stays fresh, then take it back home. Secondly, it's a really bloody job to pick out your favorite organs, so I would carry another set of clothes. It's a common technique used by criminals in order to make it harder for the police to track them down.
Pick
now,
up on
learning all this on your own
they
is going
change
to be
cars,
difficult,
clothes.
But since all ghouls are forced into hiding, it's more likely that they would support each other in some kind of underground network. This girl is connected to a group of ghouls called the Antiku, and they will probably have answers we need. So if I were in this situation, I would be asking for an introduction, because we're not going to survive very long without some guidance. Another day has passed, and Kaneki here still hasn't eaten a thing. He visits the Antiku cafe where the girl works and asks if she has any food he can eat. She scolds him for being a bum, but then her boss appears and offers to help him, telling her that helping other ghouls is the Antiku way. Inside, he's given a cup of coffee and finds out that it helps suppress the hunger pains. The manager kindly gives him some meat, and Kaneki here hesitates at first, but takes it home. Tempted by his hunger, he unwraps the package to find a human organ inside. He wants to eat it, but finds the strength to throw it away. Okay, this guy is clearly in denial.
That's an
L. Kill is going to be very hard to find, and he's literally throwing the only thing he can eat into the trash. I definitely would have eaten it, even if it's only to buy me more time to learn how to find my own food.
Just to have some
Coffee
strength.
is going to help, but ultimately, it's not going to do the job.
It's not enough.
Killing and eating people would be an emotionally scarring and traumatic situation, but there just might be a better way to do this without breaking my mind. I would first look for institutions that might have a lot of fresh corpses on hand, such as morgues, tissue banks which harvest and store donated organs, and medical schools. That doctor that I blackmailed for—
I think the anime manga also referenced getting fresh corpses from like there's a lot of people that drive off the side of the road where the road is dangerous, and then they get fresh corpses and eat from the fresh corpses.
Tissue banks which harvest and store donated organs, and medical schools. That doctor that I blackmailed for turning me into a monster, I would now start blackmailing for fresh human corpses. If I have an insider working for me from the hospital, I could eat the organs of the newly deceased without having to kill anyone.
Without having to kill anybody.
Kaneki's friend
get a job in a morgue.
His senior, Nishiki, but he realizes it's the same guy he met in the alley. There's been a ghoul studying here on campus, and he's never even realized.
Never
when
noticed.
the senior recognizes him, he slams the friend into the coffee table. He thinks he brought his friend to be eaten, but when he finds out he didn't, Nishiki here decides to take the human for himself. Kaneki picks up a golf club and attacks the ghoul, but it's useless.
Did
the guy is
nothing.
tougher than he looks, and is ready to feast on the kid when his tail is suddenly sliced off, and Kaneki here suddenly grows 3 tentacles out of his back.
Kagune.
He's fully transformed and impales the senior with a tentacle before he can escape. When he checks on his friend, he sees the blood and starts feeling hungry, unable to resist licking his face clean. He's about to give in, but the girl from yesterday appears with another ghoul and stops him. Okay, these giant tentacles are a game changer. This guy's never used them before and managed to take out this experienced ghoul really quickly. But sadly, he's also just used them to screw himself over. This guy has no experience living as a ghoul, and using your tentacles like this out in public will bring the attention of ghoul hunters, which is bad for every ghoul in town. His inexperience is putting everyone at risk of getting caught, and needs to be taken care of immediately. I would either kill him or have another ghoul to keep watch over him at all times to make sure he stays out of trouble and quietly adapts to his new life without drawing any more attention.
Train him, bro.
He's taken to the Antiku cafe and finds out that his friend has been hospitalized. That's when they reveal that Kaneki here is the only person in the world that is both human and ghoul, and they invite him to work at Antiku to help him better adapt to his new condition. That night, Kaneki here goes with a ghoul named Yomo to the forest. They're here to scavenge for suicide victims and harvest their meat. Yomo tells them a lot of weaker ghouls can't hunt for themselves, and
right
Antiku
here,
helps to
suicide victims this time though.
Scavenging for suicides is actually a good strategy. Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, with over 20,000 on average each.
Why is that though? Why? You know what I'm saying? Why?
Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, with over 20,000 on average each year. They even have a forest at the foothills of Mount Fuji called
I remember this.
where it's entirely possible to run into a corpse on your way through.
I remember that with Logan Paul, y'all. I don't know if y'all remember that. That's so sad,
Mount Fuji, called Awikigahara, where it's entirely possible to run into a corpse on your way through. Now, this isn't going to feed all the ghouls in the city, but if they could live exclusively off of corpses instead of feeding off the living population, then they wouldn't be hunted as much. If I were this guy, I would plant a ghoul to work in every morgue in the country. That way, we'd have an endless supply
We got
of
food for
that didn't require
days.
any extra killing, and the entire ghoul population could be fed. This
Right.
also centralizes power to the Antiku here and turns us into a highly profitable organized crime family. If the entire ghoul population is dependent on your business for survival, you'd be heavily protected from the law and get rich in the process. Meanwhile, the investigators discover that the fiber strand came from a specific dress at this shop, and the last customer to buy it also bought a dress for a little girl. This means the ghoul they're tracking has a daughter. Looking through security
down
footage,
to mom
they
and
find
daughter.
a customer that's wearing the matching ring that they've been looking for. Her last known sighting was in this park, and they decide to investigate the area. Back at the cafe, Kaneki here meets this girl and learns that she and her mother are being hunted by the investigators. The staff are letting them stay here until they can be moved to a safer location. But later that night, Hinami here asks to visit her dad's gravesite to drop off these coffee beans as a tribute. Kaneki knows that the agents won't recognize him, so he offers to go for her. He heads to the park, places the coffee beans at the grave, and after paying respects, he leaves. But doesn't know the agents are already there,
bad idea.
and now they have a clue as to where their target is hiding.
That was a bad idea.
This is a terrible idea. We know these coffee beans are a special Intiku blend, and leaving them at the gravesite would be evidence that the investigators could trace back to the cafe. The smartest thing to do is tell her no. I'm not putting myself at risk for f***ing coffee beans. He's also a pretty easy person to track down based on his physical description, and the eye patch is not helping him blend in. Japan has over 5 million CCTV cameras throughout the country, so his
For
movements
real?
wouldn't be hard to track. Also, since he arrived at the park by foot, the investigators can safely assume
They
he
could
lives
just track
nearby.
him.
So there are too many ways this can go wrong, and we should tell this girl to keep her beans to herself. Or being nice, then at least wait for the girls to leave town and let the investigation settle before honoring her promise.
Until afterwards.
She's just a child, and a white light can fix a lot of problems in a situation that she clearly doesn't understand. The next day, the two ghouls leave the Intiku cafe to go into hiding when it suddenly begins to rain. They take shelter but are cornered by the investigators. The mother tells her daughter to run away and stays behind to face up against the agents.
Noble
The girl finds
sacrifice,
Kaneki
guys.
and asks for help, but by the time they get back, all they can do is watch as one agent takes a ghoul-like weapon and executes the mother in front of them. It's heartbreaking, and they'll be coming for the daughter next. They go back to the cafe, and Toka here wants to go kill the two agents. She's warned that if she does, more investigators will be
not
sent
a good
here and put
move.
the ghouls in more trouble. But even with these risks, she still chooses to leave. Okay, this girl's being too emotional, but she's also the only one thinking clearly.
Think level-headed.
Because these ghoul hunters are still looking for the daughter. Now that Kaneki has connected these coffee beans to the investigation, it will lead them to the Intiku cafe where they'll find a whole sanctuary of ghouls. We should try to convince everyone that this is an existential threat and help us ambush the detectives. I would
now's
pick
the right
an
time to
corpse
take
for
them
them
out.
to find, and when they arrive, have 5 different ghouls attack them. This guy's a pretty serious weapon here, but with a strong team effort, we should be able to take them down as long as we keep the element of surprise. That night, the agent is walking back home with his friend when he's suddenly pushed out of the way by his coworker who gets killed by a ghoul in a bunny mask. He runs to grab his weapon from the suitcase, but she beats him to the floor. She's about to kill him when his partner comes to his rescue and
shows up,
sending her running. Okay, this didn't exactly go very well. The sneak attack was a great strategy, but she did not use her time very wisely. For a normal human being, it can actually take over a minute to strangle someone to death, because the blood that supplies oxygen to the brain must be stopped until the brain itself dies. It doesn't seem like very much time, but when you're committing murder, you want to leave the crime scene as soon as humanly possible before someone else shows up. The tactical thing to do is accelerate toward top speed and slit his throat.
This man Cinema Summary teaching all the hitmans on the deep web how to be better at their job, bro. I'm insane.
Shows up. The tactical thing to do is accelerate toward top speed and slit his throat. There's so much force in the inertia that a knife could rip straight through his neck, and it would only take seconds to kill him. Then I would take their weapon in the suitcase and leave before his partner arrives.
Get out of there.
Kaneki here finds the girl injured after her fight, and she chews him out for not trying to avenge the woman's murder. He approaches the boss and begs him for help, but the man refuses. He thinks there's no way the ghouls at the cafe could fight off the agents, so Kaneki here decides to handle it himself. He visits the girl and asks her to teach him how to fight. And
Training.
He's absolute garbage, but in a short time, he trains to become extremely skilled, and now he's able to use his tentacles as a weapon. Later, Kaneki and his co-worker find the girl has gone missing. She's triggered by a strong scent and follows it back to the place her mom died. Finding the source of the smell, she realizes it's her mother's butchered
It was just a
aunt.
trap!
Kaneki and Toka try to reach her in time, but it's too late. She's fallen for the investigator's trap. He lets her run off and reports back to his partner who drives to meet him, but passes by Kaneki here as he recognizes the car and follows it. The investigator corners the little girl at a levee and is about to kill her when suddenly Toka here shows up to defend her. Meanwhile, Kaneki attacks the other agent, sending his car flying before he jumps to safety, and the vehicle crashes straight into a building. Walking in with his new mask, the two begin to fight, but this agent has more experience than Kaneki and beats him down. Okay, Kaneki here didn't think this through. Flipping this guy's car was pretty badass, but all he's done is drag this thing out into an unnecessary fight. There was a much quicker way to deal with this guy.
Could have took him
I
out.
would have used my tentacles to kill him while he's driving. Even though it's a crime committed in public, we're already engaged in combat with the ghoul hunters, so there's no point in hiding until they're killed.
Anymore.
Luckily, if we're spotted, at least he's already wearing a mask. So we
you
can
don't know who
easily
he
kill
is.
him in the car and slip away to join the other fight without being identified by anyone. Meanwhile, Toka fights the agent and flings his crystals at him, but it's no match for his weapon. It knocks her back, and when she gets up, it springs out of the ground. This thing is seriously overpowered. She runs down to attack him when suddenly the agent pulls out a huge tentacle, and the daughter realizes
That's
he
the
harvested
moms.
it from her mother. The agent manages to squeeze her with his weapon, smashing the ghoul against the ground and rips her shoulder open. He's about to finish her when suddenly his arm gets cut off. The little girl has unleashed her tentacles at the last moment, allowing Toka here to kill him. Okay, there was a better way to deal with this. The man is obviously a pro, but his only strength are these ghoul weapons, and I would be looking for every opportunity to take
get him out
away.
of got him out of his
tentacle can stretch
hand.
really far, and if we lured it out beyond his line of sight, then this will give us an opportunity to attack him. I would trick him into launching it at me through this hole in the bridge here. Once it's through, I would run over the side and jump down right on top of him to knock the weapon out of his hand. It's a risk, but there's a possibility that I could land on him faster than it would take for the tentacle
worked,
to
he'd
retract
be
all the way
useless.
back through the hole and curve in the opposite direction to strike me. Once I've knocked it out of his hands, he wouldn't be able to control it and his ranged weapon is removed. That leaves only these winged tentacles here, which is great for blocking, but only if he knows where we are. I would get back up on the higher platform and circle around to the banks of the river to shoot the crystals at his back. If it doesn't work, it still forces him out of his position, and this gives the girl enough time to run away from him. Meanwhile, Kaneki is losing the battle, but he manages to break free and jumps on the agent's back to bite his shoulder. Now with a taste of blood, his tentacles are unleashed, and he tosses him up onto a balcony. But the agent isn't done yet. He presses a button, and his weapon starts spinning. Kaneki here can't pull the weapon away, and none of his attacks can get through. The investigator knocks him off the balcony, but as he falls, he pushes the man off balance and disarms him in midair. The investigator lands on the car and gets pinned down. Kaneki is overwhelmed by his ghoulish instincts for human flesh, but stops himself at the last minute and leaves the man alive. Later, he reunites with Toka and the little girl and helps them back to the cafe. The next day, Kaneki here says goodbye to the little girl and prepares himself to continue his new life as a ghoul. But what do you think? How would you be Tokyo Ghoul? Let me know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like and subscribe, and check out the How to Beat playlist for more videos like this. Until next time, have a damn good day.
Another banger, guys. Another great video, man. That idea with letting him use his kinky, I forgot what it's called, through the bridge, and then disarming him, so smart. Also, the whole running having a ghoul in every morgue, so we could start, feeding all the ghouls in the city. I tell ya, man, the thinking. These videos from Cinema Summary are a hitman's best friend. Oh man, an amazing breakdown from Cinema Summary. I really enjoyed it, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought of it down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of my reaction. If you enjoyed my reaction, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know what I should react to next. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.